One conference recommendation before we start. The Animal Health Nutrition and Technology Innovation, short ANTI, is where a lot of what you're buying in the next 3 years is getting funded right now. Learn more about anti-us.com and use code VIP10 to save 10% on registration. It's the biggest concentration of innovators in the industry, and I'm excited to be amongst them this year. I'll be there pitching in the Innovation Showcase with Serenity Vet, our operating system for relief management that helps clinics take control over one of the most expensive and least optimized parts of their operations, labor. So use the code VIP10, save 10%, and if you're going, drop me a note on LinkedIn. I'd love to meet you there. You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Sean Wilkie, and along with my awesome co-host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. Ivan, please kick us off.
Hey, I'm Ivan Zach, and we have an exciting episode today. We have a fantastic guest, and we're in a very weird location. Sean is actually staying at my house as a guest, and I'm in Europe visiting my friends in Czech Republic. So it's an unusual location. Hopefully the quality of the Czech internet will be in Czech, and then we'll go from there. Very excited to see our guest today, my colleague, Dr. Jake Rodgers. He's a relief veterinarian licensed in 5 states and the founder of Vet Buddies, a subscription-based veterinary care coordination service based in Loveland, Colorado. I didn't know there's a city like that. That's cool. Through Vet Buddies, he pairs pet owners with veterinary students under his clinical supervision, bridging the gap between clinic visits with relationship-first support. He built his career around independent contractor work, practicing across general practice, urgent care, ER, and access to care settings, and now channels that experience into building systems that share the burden of care in order to improve it. He is also an advocate for AI integration in veterinary workflow and has lectured on the topic for veterinary audiences. Jake, welcome to the show. Thank you for finding the time.
Hey guys, it's an honor to be here talking to both of you.
Likewise, your experience very similar to mine. I've done locum relief, as we locum we call it in Canada, my entire career, and done a lot of things around that as well as AI. So it'll be an interesting conversation. Tell us about this project. It sounds very interesting. You turned the passion of yours, working with the students and helping them to develop their career as the independent contractors, into this Vet Buddies platform. So tell us about that. How does that work? And tell us all about it.
Absolutely. So this partly came from experience that I've had just traveling around doing locum or relief work and talking to owners across different settings, across different states and different environments. And so something that I was hearing pretty consistently from pet owners is this desire to have continuity of care, to really build relationships with their medical providers so that they can have trust with their care providers, and then also being able to access their care providers within a reasonable amount of time. And so this is something where also working with vet students, I've had vet students who are interested in independent practice sought me out for mentorship. And so as I've had vet students shadowing me, coming along in clinics, I've seen that there's lots of opportunity for students to really help foster those relationships with pet owners in ways that can also offload some of my work, but also make it accessible for pet owners to be able to contact me as needed. So as a relief veterinarian, as I travel around, I don't usually have my own clients that follow me, but I hear that's something that clients want, is to be able to have some kind of follow-up with their veterinarian. And so I built this platform that is a care coordination platform that really just provides regular check-ins and proactive check-ins by vet students in between vet visits to just see what questions come up with pet owners, to see what they're struggling with, and then help proactively provide guidance under my supervision.
Yeah. So, Jake, what does the platform look like? Is this a piece of software? Is this a list of clients and phone numbers and a spreadsheet? How does it all work and function?
Yeah, the way that it works is when a pet owner is interested in this, we refer them to our website for Vet Buddies. It's Rodgers, spelled with a D, RodgersVetBuddies.com. Through there, they're able to sign up and access the web, and on the web app, they're able to download that to their device, whether that be a phone or a tablet or computer. And then through their device, they're able to access this web app just like an application on their device. When they open it up, what they can see is they have a messaging platform where they're able to message their designated vet buddy and ask questions and get responses within 24 hours. It also has a living care plan. So it's essentially one consolidated medical record where they're able to, part of the vet buddy's responsibility is to actually acquire and consolidate all their medical records into one simple platform that then the pet owners are able to see themselves. It shows, what vaccines they're up to date on and when they're due. It shows their most recent visits, and it lists out the different visits and all the different providers that they've gone to. It lists who are the different members of their care team, everyone from veterinarians, whether that be, oh, we've got our general practitioner, we saw a dermatologist, it'll list the dermatologist. We've got a pet sitter, they can share it with their pet sitters, they can share it with their groomers so that they have access to their vaccine history. And so it's just one central medical record that's a living document that is overseen and managed by an actual person who knows them and their pet.
Super cool.
That is awesome. I have so many questions. So first of all, we had a little in the green room. We had a little chat about like how to build it, and I know that you mentioned that you leveraged all the new development tools and build it yourself, which is not something we could have imagined even a year ago. Veterinarian writing code, building an app. So I thought that was amazing. Let's pivot to that. So how did you kind of stumble on this journey and said, "Hey, I had this idea," and then instead of how when SmartFlow arrived, I was like, I need to find a friend who's a developer, then you're like, hey, I can just build this. Tell us that journey and how did you arrive to the final product and what was the discovery kind of like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, being an independent practitioner, I've been using different AI softwares to help manage my personal workflow. And so, especially lately, I've been using Claude a lot. And then with Claude, I've built some small little web apps to help me be able to use my workflow and really design it in a way that works for me and offloads some of my personal workload. And so, getting comfortable with those platforms, I've just been looking for different ways to automate things to make it easier. And so this started as, I was giving out my phone number to clients, which I will say as a veterinarian, risky move, but actually has been working okay for me so far. I find that most clients have been pretty respectful of that time, but I do find that it creates a lot of, just excessive text messages and things that just become busy on my phone. So I wanted to really create one platform and one space where I could maintain my communications with clients as well as with the vet students who I'm mentoring, and in a way where they can all see communications together. And so it's not just me having one-on-one communications, but rather we can all share what we're seeing together. So by using Claude, I just started playing with some web apps and developing that, and then was getting feedback from both the students and from pet owners that they wanted more access to this, and this was something that they were interested in. So that helped me get the idea of developing a whole business around it and then putting it out there in a way that is more public.
It's so crazy. I mean, yes, we do that too now, even as a lay developer is how I would categorize my skill set. Like I find that building software now, which I do, it feels like once a month I build something. Usually it doesn't.
Do you say lame or lay?
Both. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, like, my development expertise, yes, I've built a couple of software companies and I've built some software in the past, but it's never been my strong suit. But I know enough that I can do it now with Claude, and it is amazing. And I've, had lots of stories I was in a tech incubator in Halifax, and I was there a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to the guy that runs it, and he used to work for me. He's a great guy. And he was telling me, they have companies that weren't a company a month ago. They come in, they create a piece of software, and they have a couple $100,000 worth of MRR in 2 or 3 months. And it's just shocking because, before you need to have a big team and, mobile and web app and a back end developer. And now you can just do these things, maybe not at the same scale, but you can do things pretty fast, pretty amazingly. And so where are you guys at on your journey? So you fell in love with Claude, you started to build web apps for yourself. When did you launch this? How many people are using it? And what's the uptake like?
Yeah, so I built it with a couple students approximately 3 months ago. And then in that amount of time, we've got one client, one dedicated client who's using it regularly. And so we're really in our initial phase of just launching right now and getting owners to sign up and then start using it. But already just from the one client that we've had, that client ended up going between a lot of different healthcare providers. And so it facilitated and led to a lot of different discussions with multiple care providers who are all interested in this to some extent, especially when it comes to helping create one central place where they can share medical records, and then they know that there's going to be some follow up on the care plan that isn't necessarily going to increase their workload. So the interesting thing is, yeah, we really built it for pet owners, and it was something that was really interested in getting in front of pet owners. But as we've been doing that, we've been getting more medical professionals who have been reaching out, asking questions about it, and more interested in seeing it be used.
That's really cool. There's so many angles that this and lives that this is can take on, because it's kind of this middle layer of maybe that we're watching a new style of PIMS kind of erupting here that will retain the medical record and be this interchangeable. I work in urgent care a lot, and in our clinics, the most irritating questions sometimes that you get from the owners that are irritated is saying, "What do you mean you don't have my medical records from last Saturday? I was just at my vet," and they're not connected. Well, you're in urgent care, and it's not like it's a central, database of all the medical records in the world. But can you tell us a little more? Because we talk about innovation here. Do you already have a sense of what's the business model? You said it's a subscription based. Is it a subscription? Who is a paying customer? Like, what is the mechanics? How do you see it as a business evolving? Is it the customer, the pet owner that's paying? Is it the vet that you're going to connect them in between, or the students? Like, is there already idea how you're going to develop it into sort of a business?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a direct to consumer kind of business where the pet owner is the consumer, and they're going to be paying a subscription price to be able to access this and to be able to maintain it. If they stop paying, then they still have access to their record. They're just not able to keep updating it and add new content to it. And so that way, if they find themselves in a position where they're like, we found that we were missing the live access to a veterinary professional, or there are more things that are incomplete about our care plan that we want to update, they could cancel the subscription at any point in time, but then they can renew it at any point in time and just keep using it as needed.
And these students, do they play a long-term role in it? Because it sounds like for now, you're that anchor in it, but also a linchpin where it's like everything is kind of around you. Is it scalable? Could other veterinarians pair with the new grads or the students and kind of scale that across different customers? What does that look like, 2-3 years out, or maybe 2 weeks out as it is these days? You built it 3 months ago and you can scale in 2 more.
Yeah, exactly. Since there's not a lot of businesses that I'm finding that I'm really able to model this after, the closest things that I'm finding are concierge services. So this is not a concierge service, does not provide on-demand access to veterinary professionals, but it does give you access to veterinary professionals with a response time within 24 hours. So you're exactly right. I'm the biggest linchpin when it comes to this. And so with that, it's designed where I'm only imagining that I could take on, say, 200 clients and really be available for them, and about 10 students I'm able to oversee. And so once I get to that point, it's designed that the structure of this whole platform is able to be shared with other veterinarians, and then they are able to be assigned their own vet buddies who are veterinary students who can help them maintain their own clientele as well. So it's absolutely designed to be scalable in terms of partnering with different vet schools down the road to access veterinary students, and then provide communications training for those students, as well as to help veterinarians who are already working and practicing and have their clientele just better manage their clientele with some assistance from these vet buddies.
Yeah, it's amazing. It feels like the vet buddies kind of provide this like next level white glove treatment. They're honing in their skills and then they're able to hand off. And the whole thing makes a ton of sense to me. I want to kind of back up a little bit because of your extensive experience as a relief veterinarian. I'm interested to know how you got here, like what this work experience, life is experience as an independent contractor, relief vet, kind of how that experience and that knowledge and what you learned there has translated into you arriving here.
Yeah, absolutely. It really just comes from, I built my relief career based off of my own personal interests, my own personal lifestyle and boundaries. And so I thought, this is the kind of lifestyle that I want. This is the kind of care that I want to be able to provide. When I was working full time, just as an associate in private practice, I found that I was getting bogged down with a lot of the communication that was taking up a lot of my time and not necessarily making money. And not just that it's all about the money, but it was really feeling like this is draining on me in a way where I'm having to put in extra time to maintain the client communication to the level that I think is appropriate. And that's starting to eat up some of my time outside of work. So I really was thinking about how are ways that I can maintain my own boundaries and maintain my own quality of life while also being accessible to pet owners. And going into relief medicine, I found, okay, well, now I'm not having to do follow up. And so that's great. It really frees up a lot more of my time and then helps me just say, this is dedicated time for work. And it's during those work hours that I will be communicating with clients. And outside of that, I won't be spending more time doing it. But I was finding that I wasn't getting the follow up that I thought would be helpful for me as a veterinarian. And so with that, I've been thinking about what are ways that I can actually make money doing client communications outside of work in a way that is sustainable long term, but also puts up some boundaries. And so that's where this idea for this platform came about. And then using and working with veterinary students who are already so capable and so ready and eager and knowledgeable and able to help pet owners with some of these, just simple questions, but also just to help them find the exact care that they need. So often, I'm sure that Ivan, you in your urgent care situation, you're regularly experiencing pet owners who are calling that are asking for certain types of care that we say, oh, well, that's not the care that we provide in urgent care. You're looking for a general practitioner, or you're looking for a 24-hour ER service, or you're looking for a specialist. And so just to help pet owners navigate all of this kind of fragmented care is something that I think was really helpful for vet students to be exposed to the broader veterinary medicine and the industry and what kind of resources are out there. Also helping me better understand that, because so often I'm not always in touch with all of the specialists in the area, and I don't know what are all the resources. So to help me understand through these vet students, compile what resources are available to certain people in certain regions, and then also to create the opportunity for me to make money off of this subscription service. And for the vet students, they actually make half of the subscription money themselves directly. So it gives them a paid opportunity to be able to put their knowledge and experience into use, and for them to be able to see and demonstrate that they have value already, even though they're not veterinarians.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. It sounds like a win-win-win all the way around. Really, really cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Appreciate it. And one thing that I'm thinking is that up down the road, these vet students, as they're starting to develop these clients themselves, the clients are mostly in touch with the vet buddies who are directing them to different services. And then when they're asking questions that the vet buddy says, that's actually a medical question, let me check with the veterinarian and then get you general advice. I'm not diagnosing, prescribing, or treating anything virtually. This is all just providing overall guidance and direction to what kind of care they need. Then as these students develop these relationships, they're going on to becoming veterinarians, and they have the option of getting their own vet buddies with them and taking their clientele with them. So the whole idea is fostering these relationships and then building the platform that helps maintain these relationships between veterinary professionals and pet owners.
There's your flywheel. That's what the most entrepreneurs are looking for. Where is the repeatable pattern, and how is it going to perpetuate itself? And it certainly looks like you're getting there by, the students will be always there. It seems like it's going to service the students with the experience they get. And once they graduate, they're going to become your, next generation that will be inspired to have the buddies and help to grow new ones. This is fantastic. We ran out of time. We always do on this podcast, especially when the conversation is that exciting. So we do ask two questions at the end. The first one, is there a book recommendation? Is there a podcast? Is there any sort of source of inspiration for you recently that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I would say I'm rereading the book Sapien by Noah Yuval Harari. And that is a book that I've read when it first came out, but I find it to be so applicable, just thinking about the timeline of just civilization and the development and advances of civilization at this point in time right now, where so much is changing so quickly that it makes it pretty hard to predict and what's coming next. So I find that book pretty inspiring, but also insightful right now.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time to reread it as we are evolving and changing rapidly. Last question, another innovator, somebody you think we should have on the podcast.
Absolutely. There is someone named Dr. Matt Asciuto who has opened a emergency practice in Fort Collins, Colorado. And this is a private practice, independently owned, and he's doing some really interesting things when it comes to designing it really for the staff in a way that is all about building a healthy culture, while also making it emergency medicine available to the public. And I think what he's doing is really cool. I'd highly recommend talking to him.
Amazing. We'll reach out.
Well, thank you so much. Good luck to you with the project. I'm actually really, really interested to follow through. Just before we close up here, can you please let everybody know where to find this as the pet owner or as the veterinarian who wants to adopt some buddies from vet school, if that's the model? And so where to find your platform or yourself to connect with you and talk more about the venture.
Awesome. Yeah, please look us up. The website is Rodgers, spelled with a D, Rodgers, RodgersVetBuddies.com. And if you go to that platform, you will find my contact information. You can contact us directly, and you can just access the app. If you start playing with the app, whether that's because you're interested in getting a vet buddy as a pet owner yourself, or you just are curious about what the app looks like and how it works, you can try it for free for 30 days through that website. So that would be my main recommendation. You can also email me directly at jrodgers with a D, dvm@gmail.com.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinaryinnovationpodcast.com. See you next week.